Welcome back to the channel, guys. So I did a reaction video to Bobby Lashley and Bray Wyatt, man. Their segment from last night on Raw. And unfortunately, I can't release that video because I had a lot more questions in that video than actually reacting. So I figured that I would take those questions and make it its own video. It will make more sense to do that as opposed to humming over a reaction video. So watching last night's Muscle Man video or music video, that he's done this before, we know, and the segment that he had last week, the Firefly Funhouse, have left me with more questions and concerns as opposed to questions and intrigue. And it's not just from those last two segments. It's everything surrounding the Pitch Black match up until after that, leading up to now. You know, but before we get into those concerns, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and the bell next to it to get an update every time I upload a video. I appreciate each and every one of my subscribers. Thank you so much for staying on the channel. Now, let's get to Bray Wyatt. If you've been watching this video, if you're a friend of me in person, you would know that I am a big fan of Bray Wyatt. I think he's one of the best things in the wrestling industry in general, not just WWE, especially with his mentality. I've always said that he's a creative genius. He is a brilliant mastermind, and he's great at these things. But there is a point now where I feel like what's happening now, that there is a creative breakdown that's happening. I feel like there's like a wrench stuck in some type of motor, or something's missing. Someone left creative, or he's just lost his luster, or something isn't right now. Because we have so many of these different things happening, but none of it seems like it's connected. It all seems disjointed from each other. Now, let me explain a little bit further before I go into this. So the most recent thing that's happening right now is his feud with Bobby Lashley, right? And this one could be answered and dispelled within the next couple of weeks because we have WrestleMania coming up right around the corner in April. So this thing could be answered. So I just picked the lightest one right now just to get through with it. Why did he decide to pick the winner of the Brock Lesnar and Bobby Lashley match as his next opponent? I don't understand why that even happened. Doesn't make any sense to me, but I'm sure we'll get an answer. It is what it is. But before that, the bigger thing to me is the feud with LA Knight. The whole thing with LA Knight was great. You know, it was entertaining. I loved it on the channel. I loved watching it. I loved reacting to it. It was fun. It did so much for LA Knight, for people who didn't know who he was or for people who weren't into him. I think it made his career go up to a whole new level. But the thing is, we all saw what happened at the Pitch Black match. You know, it was all random and confusing, and then it got to the end, which was the most interesting part, which Uncle Howdy came out and did a missed elbow drop on him, sent him into some flames, which I assumed sent LA Knight to hell, and that was the end of it. But fast forward to last week on SmackDown, we saw LA Knight wearing his fruit roll-up Ermac jacket, going back and forth with the New Day, like nothing ever happened. He's still as arrogant, still as prideful as he was before, which is, you know, top tier 5-star LA Knight, which is what I love. But it was like, what was the effect of that feud that he had with Bray Wyatt? What did that change? What was the aftermath of it? It almost like it did not happen at all. For me, when the flames came up and he went underground, I was like, all right, well, they're doing something where they seem like they're sending him into maybe the Shadow Realm for the Yu-Gi-Oh fans, maybe sending him to hell some way or another, and maybe he'll reincarnate as a part of the Wyatt Six, but it didn't do any of that. It was just like, what was the point of that outside of elevating LA Knight? What was the point of that? And with that being said, with him going through that and losing and then coming back last week and still being the same person, why should Bobby Lashley fear this person when the consequences of dealing with him isn't that serious, right? The whole time that the LA Knight was getting attacked and people were playing Jenga and Tetris on his back with tables, he never got hurt. He never got, all he did was get afraid for a little bit, and now he's back to being arrogant. So I'm wondering if Bray Wyatt is choosing his opponents by who's the most prideful and the most anger, and he wants to cause fear to come out of them and eat off of fear, kind of like It type of thing, but that's not really clear. Also, we've had like signs of things happening, right? We saw the Firefly symbol next to Liv Morgan at some point in time. She looked like she was turning heel, then that went away. We thought she was going to be a part of the Wyatt Six. We had Alexa Bliss here, and she's no longer here. What happened to her? I don't know, so I can't comment too much on that, but that seemed like it came and went. So it seems like the creative is just like all over the place. And I'm not going to blame it all on Bray Wyatt. It could be part of the writing. It could be something else going on, but there is something disjointed as opposed to when this whole thing first started, when he came back in October. So it's just like, it's been almost 6 months. We haven't gotten any idea of who's the first member of this supposed Wyatt Six, right? I know we had clues and cryptic messaging in Firefly Funhouse and things like that. And I love cryptic messaging. I love Easter eggs. I love all of that stuff. But if it doesn't lead up to anything in 6 months, people are going to start getting tired and worn out of waiting for a long time just to get the smallest thing, just one member of the Wyatt Six to happen. And we don't know who that first member is. Also, when we're talking about Uncle Howdy, when he came out in the flesh, he gave Bray Wyatt and his sister Abigail. And we're like, okay, well, Uncle Howdy doesn't like Bray Wyatt, but then after that, Uncle Howdy has been helping Bray Wyatt. So it's just like, what exactly is Uncle Howdy, right? It feels like at this point that he was like, okay, I have to introduce this new character. I have this creative idea for this, and I loved it. I loved the idea of it. And now it's like, okay, I already introduced this character. I don't know what to do with him, but I can't leave him off the screen. So every time he's on the screen, it almost feels like he has to be there because he was already introduced. He's not really giving any type of significant importance to the story as far as I know. Maybe it'll mean something down the line in the future. Who knows? Maybe he's doing the MCU thing where if you saw the first movie, there's a clue in the first movie that attaches to the 375 movie, and maybe that'll happen down the line, but I only can talk about what I'm seeing right now. Now, when he got introduced, when he first came back, when Bray Wyatt came back in October, it was fantastic. His promos were amazing. The things he was saying, everything. He was oozing out Jake the Snake Robert, but putting his own twist on it. It was so interesting, and it felt like that he had a plan for the entire thing. And I'm not saying that he doesn't. I'm just telling you what it feels like. It felt like he had an entire plan for the entire thing. And it was like a creative plan. Now, there's two different things, right? I don't know what's going on, right? And I know people will say, well, you have to wait it out. Bray Wyatt is cryptic. You can't know everything. And I agree with that 100%. But there is a difference between the feeling of being in a direction and not knowing what's going on, and we'll go along with the ride and pick up the pieces as we go, versus you not knowing where you're going and feeling like, I don't even think they have an idea of where they want to go because everything is so ping-pongy, you know, back and forth. Up until the Uncle Howdy introduced in person, it just seemed like everything was just all over the place and they're just throwing random things like, we don't know what to do this week, so let's just make a Firefly Funhouse segment. We don't know what to do this week, so let's just do a Muscle Man segment. And as much as I like the Firefly Funhouse, as much as I like the Muscle Man dance, bringing that back again, it just feels like that he's just kind of piggybacking on his old creative stuff. And I know people love Firefly Funhouse. I'm not saying get rid of it, but it's just like, okay, we know people like this, so let's just throw this out there. We know people like this, let's throw cryptic messaging, because it's almost like when someone tells somebody something that's very vague, so it gives them like, oh, okay, yeah, we're gonna do something special on Friday. We're gonna do something and you're gonna really like it. And not giving them information, it could either be a surprise, which could be the case, but also it could be the person is like, I don't know what to do yet, but I got time to figure it out. At least they know I'm doing something, and I got to figure something out in time. At least they know something's going to happen. And I'm starting to feel like that is the case with Bray Wyatt. So I don't know, man. I don't hate Bray Wyatt at all. I love Bray Wyatt. I think he's a genius. I'm gonna have to repeat that once again, but I don't know what's going on. Not that I have to know everything. Not that I want to know everything. I'm saying it just seems like there's some breakdown in the creative, and it feels like that we're in a point where it's directionless, and maybe Bray Wyatt doesn't really even know. I mean, I think it was an interview where he said, I didn't really know how this whole thing was actually going to be put together, I think. And I could be paraphrasing him. I'm paraphrasing him because I don't know specifically what he said, but it just feel like I don't know. Maybe it's just me. I mean, his match with Bobby Lashley at WrestleMania could be fantastic. The lead up to it can be fantastic. We still have weeks to go for him to explain it. But at this time, it's just like, I don't know. Like, what? Like, again, if LA Knight can bounce back like that, what is there for Bobby Lashley to be afraid of? Unless Bray Wyatt is a person who feeds off people's fears and gets stronger. Bray Wyatt's been here for almost 7 months. Why haven't we gotten the idea of who the first member of the Wyatt Six is, right? People may say it's Alexa Bliss, but now we don't know. She's not here anymore. But I was hoping that last night would be a little bit into the explanation of all of that, but we really didn't get that. You know, being cryptic is cool, but sometimes there's a balance for it. You know, there has to be some exploitation. You have to explain something at one point or another. Not everything, but just a little bit. And I know people will say, well, the cryptic messages in Firefly Funhouse does that. It kind of does, but it kind of doesn't. You know, it doesn't really answer anything, and I get that that's the point of it. But for me, like I said, I just have more questions than answers. I mean, this is more of an open video, so if you guys have ideas of what you think is going on, let me know in the comment section. I've seen some people say some ideas, but it still doesn't really clear up an idea of what's going on, right? I don't need to know the details. At least give me some type of framework of what is going on here, right? But anyways, if you guys agree with me, disagree with me, let me know in the comment section. Thank you guys so much for watching. Salute, peace, have a good day.